Michael, and we're going to talk today about how to curse someone. There are very simple tactics that you can use in order to curse someone, and there are very complicated methods. I'm not an expert in cursing, but Michael is very good at it. So, Michael, how would you curse someone, and what are some basic either techniques or materials that you can use in order to apply your magical craft to cursing someone?
To be honest, basically it's anything that can cause debilitating harm or basically harm in general. It can basically cause them to lose money, to lose assets like their homes or pretty much anything. It can also be used to actually do generations wise. And there is actually old techniques that combines blood magic with other arts that allows a person to literally curse an entire generation. And due to the fact of the human race multiplying like rabbits, all caught in one little cage orgy, it's basically self-reproducing, meaning the curse will continue on until someone manages to stop it.
Here's the question, because I know that you have one rule, and do you think that the generational curse conflicts with your one rule?
In my eyes, you can actually use that curse to only target certain people within the generation. So, meaning the curse would not go directly towards the children, it would go directly towards people that you believe are going to cause you the most grief. For example, if I were to say, make it where my curse would inflict pain on, say, uh, so say because I have a lot of family that I hate I have many different family names. One of them is Bershaw, one of them is Shay, such. So say I were to decide to curse my father's mother's side of the family. That would basically, I could set it to where the curse would only target them once they hit past the age of when they became adults, thus not breaking the one little rule that I have, which is very, very simple. However, the last time that I don't believe I've ever cursed somebody within a generation wise because, well, I believe Miranda explained to you that basically if I hate someone, I don't hate who you're related to. I don't hate who you're friends with. I hate you specifically. So it's rare for me to ever acquire that much rage to curse an entire man's family. So it's like there are witches out there that do it. I do know a few of them that have done it in the past, and the way it works is they combine both blood magic and basically an item that gets passed down can be passed down through the generation. There's a reason why witches are very careful with what gets passed down in their family tree. There go like artifacts, relics, anything like that, because greatest grandma might not like her adorable little granddaughters and decides to pass them down something that's going to basically kill them at some point.
So, so when you're casting a basic curse, what is your go-to? Like just a simple go-to for casting a curse at a particular individual?
My go-to is it would all depend on how far they have pushed me past my limit. It could be anything from debilitating pain to dying to losing everything. It honestly depends on how far a person has pushed me. I once cursed somebody, and through a meditative state, I discovered a curse that basically involves invoking what many people refer to as my deity or as my dark eternal father. Others refer to him as Satan, etc. down the line. And it allows him to pass judgment down upon them. And what it does is if you're aware of Sorcerer Cagliostro,
Cagliostro, yeah.
anytime you work with demons, they open portals. And it can be an eternal portal or not. Depending on how many times you work with them, it's depending on how many times the portals are going to open up and such. It takes a demon and it's swirling around. It basically traps him, and then it basically uses the energy that you're giving him, which basically causes the demon to go insane. If you put enough energy into someone or a being, it basically, there's an old expression, power can warp the mind. Put enough energy into something, it's either going to explode or something's going to happen. And what this does is it sends this demon to whomever has, in my case, ticked me off. And from there, it's undetermined what it will do. I've only used this curse on one person, and she pushed me past my limits. It apparently, from what I was getting told by other people, she was going completely batshit crazy. She was saying she was seeing people. They weren't even there. She said that she woke up to people standing over her with various weapons, to the point she cleansed her house multiple times, yet they would not go away. Everywhere she walked, she would feel eyes were watching her, yet when she would turn around, no one was there. She accused every single one of her closest friends of trying to stab her in the back. Um, at one point, she lost her job. She nearly lost her home. Basically, it caused her to go insane from what I heard. I had one guy tell me, please remove this curse. Whatever you did to her, remove it. I said, no. She claimed she was the greatest witch of her age, so she figures it out.
That makes sense. So I would ask you, what are the materials that you would use for a curse that might do something like that? What would you do with those materials?
I would combine moon magic. I work with the moon constantly, mainly the full moon or the new moon. I use that energy. I use my own spiritual energy, and then I use something that many witches do not rarely use, and it's rarely talked about. It's known as life energy. Your spiritual energy is always going to be surrounding you. It's basically endless. However, your life essence that basically keeps you alive, and then what the Asians refer to as chakra or such, is basically the life force of you. That energy is not replaceable. Once it's gone, basically. And I rarely use that energy because it does shorten lifespans. Like the last time I used it, so say I was destined to die at the age of 80. Now I'm destined to die at around the age of 78, give or take, depending on how far down the line, how far my Dark Eternal Father decides to keep me going. Basically, my life is destined to die shorter than I originally would have. I rarely use that though.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's go to, for instance, so when you're casting a curse in general, do you recommend somebody buying a jar and stuffing that jar with some materials? Or if somebody is using materials themselves, something that they can buy and they can combine, what would you recommend that those materials be? And how would you use them?
It can be anything. You can literally, okay, for instance, my last curse, I walked over to dollar store. I picked up a jar. I came back over here. I already had a wooden mannequin that I had bought previously and planning for this curse. And
Small
that
mannequin, right? Like a small doll type thing?
small little
Okay.
mannequin. The ones that you buy at Walmart, the artistic mannequins, and are red in the artistic. I bought that. I bought some wire, and I basically put that doll through hell, and at the same time mixed in various different items in there, including needles, peppers, anything that basically. At one point, I squashed a bug and then focused on that as well, basically stating this person's going to die just like this bug, and mixed it all together into the jar itself. I basically carved into a candle the person's name, And then right after that, I put down there no pain, feel pain, die. And basically after that, then while the mannequin was cooking on a roasted fire, brought the mannequin back over here. I mixed that in with the jar as well. And then right after that, I basically let the candle basically melt over it. And then I took the remains to a nearby river, which I basically chunk all of my remains off, similar to what people in voodoo use as a crossroads where they leave their discarded deals. But this way, it's so then even after all that, the water itself is still going to basically wash them away. Basically, they're no longer part of my life. Whatever happens next is there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, all that is kind of pieced together. Have you ever received any repercussions from curses that you've done that you didn't, either things that happened to an individual that you didn't expect to happen to them, or something that happened to you that you didn't expect
Oh,
to happen?
well, like the curse and I honestly didn't know what was going to expect. I was in a meditative state. Was trying to figure out, what curse to use on this person, and all of a sudden this curse basically came to me, and I was like, okay, and I was thinking, how do I do this? And basically in my meditative state, my dark eternal father showed me how to, but also explained the repercussions involved, meaning that basically I would be one step closer to facing true death. So I I did not expect any of it to actually. It wasn't that I doubted him. It was that he even explained himself the curse is a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
There's no telling what the demon will do. So I basically, when I found out she nearly lost her job, upon she lost her job, she managed to get it back. She nearly lost her home, multiple people going after her, everything else. I never expected any of this to happen. I was like thinking in my head, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because this was the first time that I ever truly cursed somebody. I curse people with minor stuff, but I never expected it to actually, truly affect her.
So when it comes to demon, you refer to demons that you basically feed. Either they do something or they will basically explode with all that energy. Is there any way to control the demons that you're talking about? Have you encountered any ways to control them, or are you able to control the effects
To
directly?
be to be honest, I don't like control the ones around me. There are ways you can control them. Basically, if you look through Sorcerer Calstro's book, there are several ways you can
Are you talking
control.
about the Blood Magic Bible, or
Whether through ruins, incense, combinations of ruins or incense, sigils, which are actually slightly different from ruins in themselves. There are various ways to control a demon, but in my eyes, I don't try to control.
we talked about before? You don't use protection circles or something to divide you from that force. You allow that force to be connected to you, and you allow that force to do as it will. Correct?
It's basically my house is a haunted mansion, and basically, you step in, you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
It's simply, I've never been one to try to like control demons. It's in my eyes, they were here long before me. They want to roam around. It's their choice. This house was, I didn't even, I recently got this house about a year or so ago. So, I mean, this house was here long before me. The spirits around here were here long before me. So, I don't feel the need to truly control them unless I actually have to use actual work itself. So,
So, when it comes to sigils, are there any effective sigils that you use that you would recommend for other people, or do you tend to operate purely with materials and you're not too worried about sigils?
I choose to operate with materials that I'm not too worried about. But at the same time, I do have somebody that if I need advice on them or to use them more properly, I can call, which you know who I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
like the the one teacher then is in the physical plane of existence, not in my dark eternal father, but the one in the physical plane of existence. If I need like a sigil or a particular thing, I can just basically go, hey, this guy won't leave me the hell alone. How do I do this?
Yeah. So that makes sense. Is there
Mm.
anything your Dark Eternal Father doesn't want you to do? Like, is there like an out of bounds kind of thing?
The only thing that, hold on, my camera's being weird now.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're at. Okay, there you are. The only thing that he has ever told me not to do is not to harm children, and that pretty much animals were more of what you would call a prop, if you will. Like, it's basically it's something that if a new person wants to do, but it's not going to cause any actual things. The only things that the animal will do in itself will be bringing you closer towards death. It'll basically show you closer realms of pain and blood, but other than that, it doesn't actually serve a real purpose. To my knowledge, all of the animal skulls that I've found them. I've not ever killed an animal except out of when I was hunting back when I was younger, but in actual sacrifice, uh,
Yeah. Yeah, that pieces together well. Is there a very simple curse that anybody could do that even a novice who doesn't have control of their doesn't have control of their energy, of being able to direct their energy, can do with materials that you would recommend, whether it be paper and pen, or whether it be some other materials as far as incense, anything like that, that you would recommend to somebody who doesn't have that control yet to be able to direct their mental energy into something like that mannequin you were talking about.
um, personally, anybody can do the curses that I've listed, except for one of them. You have to actually be a part of my craft for that to work. Similar how certain rituals can only be done by somebody that is actually working with Odin or such. But like the curse that I did, I think it was about a week ago, week and a half ago. Anybody can do it because all it is taking is basically is using intentions, meaning basically I don't know if you can remember what it would be called familial magic, where basically which is basically what people that are either in voodoo or hoodoo can use, as well as other cults. Basically, it involves basically the stereotypical nature of a voodoo doll. Whatever you're doing to the candle, whatever you're mixing inside there, whoever's name is inside that jar is going to reflect onto them, and then whatever effects then those things are what possess. For instance, the pins can cause them pain. The glass can cause them more pain. The burning, it can also symbolize what they will lose. For instance, the burning can symbolize them losing their job, everything in their life going up in utter flames. The pins can symbolize they're slowly losing touch with reality. Every move they make is basically can cause a form of paranoia. The glass itself can symbolize basically their world shattering. Everything they touch goes to shit. It can honestly all depend on how strong your intentions are and how much energy you can focus out. Anyone can focus out energy. It just takes, okay, how do I explain this? Anyone can tap into their energy, but to truly obtain true focus takes time. Unless you're somebody then is basically it's the difference between taking a sledgehammer versus using a sword.
Yeah.
Basically, you're going to achieve the same thing. The mofo is going to go down to the ground, but it's going to be different ways. Or it's going to slice and stash while the or stab, while the sledgehammer is just going to be basically being used as basically a baseball bat. You're just going to beat the hell out of the guy until the guy drops to the ground. You're going to beat the shit out of him more until he stays down.
Yeah.
It it's basically the difference between a trained soldier versus
Like a
armor
conscript
son.
or a recruit.
or a farmer's son,
Yeah.
basically, big old brawler type.
Yeah. Hey, so I think we'll go ahead and end the video there. Thank you very much for joining me, Michael. I'm sure we will see you on the channel in the future. Um, if all of you have any questions, comments, concerns, anybody who's watching this video, shoot it down in the comment section below. We'd love to hear your input and your questions, and I'm sure we'll be able to look at those and get to them so that you can have the information in return. But thank you very
Anybody
much.
that wishes to message me about anything, just forward it over to Hunter, and I'll get through with it.
Definitely. All right, so everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see all of you on the channel in the future.
Deuce.